Chapter 25. Just one more thing. Morning crept over the Iron Orchid, finding the ship hushed and still. The crew lingered in sleep, gathering strength for the monumental broadcast awaiting them that afternoon. But down in the lower crew deck, Ellie was already awake. She slipped out of her bunk, padding silently down the narrow, red-lit corridor. She paused outside the doors to the other cabins, gently tapping the release panels. She quietly woke James and Jade, ushering them both back down the hall into her own room. The door hissed shut, sealing the three children inside. Ellie sat cross-legged on the floor, her expression a mixture of nervous excitement and intense focus. James and Jade sat down across from her, rubbing the sleep from their eyes. "What's going on?" James asked, his voice a groggy whisper. "Is it time for the broadcast?" "No." Ellie shook her head, her dark eyes bright in the dim cabin lighting. "Not yet. But I had a dream last night. Only, it didn't seem like a dream. It felt like the riverbank. I think they want us to contact them." Jade blinked, pulling her knees up to her chest. "The angels?" Ellie nodded. "Are you sure it wasn't just a dream?" James asked, his brow furrowing slightly. "We've been through a lot. My dreams are all over the place." "I'm sure," Ellie replied, her voice filled with that same quiet, absolute certainty she had shown in the forest. "I can feel it. It's like a hum right here." She tapped the center of her chest. "They're waiting." James looked at Jade, who offered a small, hesitant nod. He turned back to Ellie and let out a long breath. "All right, let's do it." The three children shifted, forming a tight circle on the floor, just as they had done on the sun-warmed boulder the day before. They reached out, joining their hands together. "Where do we open a gate to?" Jade asked softly, her brow furrowing in thought. Ellie paused, her eyes closing as she considered the options. She needed somewhere safe. Her first instinct was to picture the flat rock across the river where they had successfully jumped yesterday. But as the image formed in her mind, she hesitated. What if some wild animal walks through, she thought. Raffi had been very clear about the dangers of the forest. Bringing an alien predator into the orchid while the crew slept was a terrible idea. Then, it came to her. It was so simple she almost laughed. "Of course," Ellie murmured, keeping her eyes shut. "We don't have to open a big door. We can open a very small gate, not even big enough for us to fit through, and we can just open it to Jade's room." "A gate from your room to my room?" Jade asked, a small smile touching her lips. "Just down the hall?" "Yes." Ellie nodded. "It's safe. It's close. We just fold the air right here." "Then what?" James asked, his grip tightening slightly on their hands. "Then we wait, I suppose," Ellie said, taking a deep, steadying breath. "If they do want to talk to us, they will." A hush settled over the children. The ship's faint environmental hum faded into the background, leaving only the steady rhythm of their breathing filling the small room. They didn't force the veil or strain against reality. Instead, they reached out together, feeling the familiar, shivering static, and softly folded the space between Ellie's floor and the empty cabin down the hall. In the center of their circle, the air blossomed open like a golden flower. It was tiny, no larger than a dinner plate, and perfectly, silently stable. The edges of the small, oval window shimmered with that same warm, golden light they had seen in the forest. Through the opening, they could clearly see the rumpled blankets of Jade's empty bunk. They sat perfectly still, holding hands around the glowing, golden tear in the universe. And they waited. Up in the secondary cargo bay, the atmosphere was considerably more tense. Amara entered the cavernous, red-lit hold, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug of coffee. Tess and Freya were already there, hunched over the Athelgard amplifier, running last-minute diagnostics on the thick fusion cables that fed the machine from the Orchid's power grid. "Morning," Amara called out, her voice echoing slightly in the large space. "Ready for the big day?" Freya stood up from the amplifier and offered a tight, forced smile. "Ready for something no one has ever done before?" "Sure." Tess grinned, though it didn't quite reach her eyes, masking the nervousness that was gripping the entire crew. "The bypass is holding steady. If the kids can push the signal, the machine will handle the distribution. We're as ready as we'll ever be." "Are the kids up?" Freya asked, setting her tablet down on a nearby crate. "No," Amara replied softly, taking a sip of her coffee. "I think we should let them sleep a little longer. I think today is going to be tough on them, pushing a signal to lots of different systems at once. Even with the machine, it's going to take everything they have." The bulkhead doors hissed open, and the rest of the crew filed into the cargo bay. Finn walked in first, his face a mask of grim determination. Raffi followed, rolling his massive shoulders, while Doc and Jake brought up the rear. "Morning, Captain," Jake said, rubbing his eyes from behind his tinted goggles. He looked around the circle of tense faces. "Anyone want some breakfast? I can whip up some protein gruel." "No thanks, Jake," Finn murmured, staring at the black amplifier sitting ominously in the center of the bay. "Don't think I could keep it down." Raffi grunted his agreement, folding his massive arms across his chest. No one had any appetite. They were on the verge of declaring war against the galaxy's most powerful corporation, armed with experimental tech and 3 haunted children. "All right," Finn said, his dark eyes meeting Amara's. "We have the power. We have the plan. How do we want to play the broadcast? Athelgard controls the media networks. If we just start screaming into the void, they'll classify it as a fringe conspiracy broadcast and bury it." "We don't just scream," Amara said, her tone shifting into absolute commanding focus. She set her coffee mug down on a crate. "We dump the data. Finn, you sliced Leon's flight logs. It proves he flew to Umbrix, and it proves Athelgard scrubbed the records. We broadcast that data packet on a continuous loop, and I've been working on something most of the night. A clear, recorded description of what Athelgard is doing. Details of the moon base, Leon's murder, and of course what the kids have encountered, the good and the bad." Tess nodded enthusiastically. "I can format the data burst. If the kids can open enough microgates directly into the central planetary hubs of the core worlds, the sheer volume of the signal will overwhelm Athelgard's censorship algorithms. They won't be able to scrub it fast enough. Everyone will see it." "It's a solid plan," Doc agreed quietly, adjusting his glasses. "But it all hinges on Ellie, James, and Jade. If they can't hold the connection—" "They can," Finn said, his voice hard with absolute certainty. "They opened a gate from a black site moon to the middle of deep space. They can do this." He turned toward the companionway door. "I'll go wake them up. It's time." As Finn turned to go, the doors hissed open. Ellie, James, and Jade walked into the cargo bay. They weren't groggy or rubbing sleep from their eyes. They looked incredibly awake, standing shoulder to shoulder with a fierce, quiet intensity that made the entire crew pause. "We just spoke with the angels," Ellie announced, her small voice echoing clearly over the hum of the fusion shunt. and they said we need to do one extra thing before the broadcast. Finn froze, exchanging a stunned look with Amara. He walked slowly back toward the center of the bay, crouching down to meet Ellie's eye level. "Really?" Finn asked, his heart suddenly hammering against his ribs. The angels had given them a new directive. What do they want us to do? "They want us to rescue the children Athelgard is transporting in Carver's ship," Jade said, her voice trembling slightly, though she stood her ground. "What children?" Amara demanded, stepping forward, her green eyes wide with horror. "They had another group they were working with," Ellie explained, her dark eyes flashing with anger. "Another facility somewhere else. They are behind us in terms of what they can do, but it won't take Athelgard long to find out which kids are worth keeping. Carver is taking them to the moon right now to replace us." "Carver's ship," Raffi rumbled, the massive weapons specialist swearing softly under his breath. "That's the Scythe. It's a heavy assault corvette. She's armed to the teeth." "If we wait until they land on Umbrix," James added, stepping forward, "we won't find it as easy as last time to get in. They will be waiting for us. We have to do it now. The ship is in orbit around Draven, preparing to depart for Salis." The silence in the cargo bay was absolute, broken only by the rhythmic hum of the neural amplifier. Finn rose slowly, scanning the faces of his crew. The plan had just shifted from dangerous to nearly suicidal. A multi-system broadcast was one thing. Storming Carver's personal warship was another entirely. "So we open a gate inside what will be maybe the most dangerous place we could ever go, and hope for the best?" Jake asked, running a hand nervously through his hair. "A boarding action." Raffi grinned, grabbing his rifle from the crate and racking the bolt with a sharp, satisfying clack. "Now that is a plan I can get behind. We step through, secure the kids, and step back before Carver even knows we're on his ship. The element of surprise gives us the edge, and we can make it quick." Tess frowned, looking down at her datapad. What if they are all in separate cells and heavily guarded? "They are all in one room," Ellie answered quietly. "But yes, they have guards in there with them. We will try to open the gate in the best place for you, though." She paused, a dark, brilliant spark lighting up her young eyes as she looked at Finn and Amara. "And I have an idea," Ellie added, her voice dropping to a quiet, dangerous whisper. "We can take out Carver and the ship." Amara paused. She looked at the young girl, a sudden chill settling in her stomach. "How do we take out Carver, Ellie?" Ellie looked down at her hands, her expression frighteningly calm. "I had some thoughts about how to stop Carver before. Back in my cell on Umbrix, like opening a small gate near the surface of a sun, and then opening the other end directly in front of Carver." The silence that followed was heavy and profound. The crew stared at the girl as if they had never truly looked at her before. The sheer, brutal ruthlessness of the concept, using the unfathomable heat and gravity of a star as a personalized execution weapon, deeply unnerved them. They were staring at a child who possessed the power to casually erase the most dangerous man they had ever met. Except for Raffi. The massive weapons specialist slowly lowered his rifle, staring down at the small girl with a look of profound, unadulterated awe. Slowly, a fierce, genuine smile spread across his scarred face. "That is amazing," Raffi rumbled, a deep note of respect in his voice. Ellie offered him a small, tight smile in return, but shook her head. "I didn't think I could control a gate like that alone, but the angels..." They gave me an idea. She turned her dark, serious eyes away from Rafi and looked directly at the two engineers standing near the amplifier. Freya, Ellie asked softly, her voice perfectly even. What would happen if I open a gate in the middle of a ship's engine? Freya and Tess exchanged a wide, stunned look. Tess swallowed hard, her mind instantly racing through the mechanical realities of the scenario. Wait, you mean open a tier directly inside the primary fusion manifold while the ship is hot? Yes, Ellie nodded. Freya took a slow breath, stepping closer to the little girl. If you open a gate into the vacuum of space directly inside the containment chamber, the sudden catastrophic drop in pressure would instantly destabilize the magnetic shielding holding the fusion reaction together. The engine wouldn't just fail, Ellie. The reaction would breach the hull. It would tear the ship apart from the inside out in less than a second. And if the ship was in orbit around Draven? Finn asked, the sheer audacity of the plan beginning to take hold in his mind. If the scythe blows in high orbit, Tess answered grimly, it would be a catastrophic mechanical failure. The Syndicate defense platforms wouldn't have anyone to shoot at, because there wouldn't be another ship involved. A zero-footprint assassination, Raffi murmured, looking at Ellie with the admiration of a proud father. They wouldn't even know they were under attack until the ship vaporized. So we go in, Finn said, pacing slowly across the cargo bay as the tactical pieces clicked into place. Raffi and I breach the holding cell. We secure the kids and get them through the gate to safety. And the moment the last kid is through, the kids shift the gate to somewhere in the void and then open the other directly into the scythe's main engine core. We rescue the kids, and we destroy Carver and his ship all at once, Raffi grinned, slapping a heavy spare power cell into his tactical rig. I'm telling you, Captain, we don't need the cannons anymore. Amara let out a long, shaky breath, her green eyes sweeping over the quiet, determined faces of her crew and the three extraordinary children standing among them. All right, Amara commanded, slipping seamlessly into her role as captain. Her voice was hard and uncompromising. Tess, fire up the amplifier. Finn, Raffi, gear up for a breach. We are going to war.